That is a seriously great movie. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's me, and here's my review of The Boys in the Boat. As a quick side note, by the way, I did want to say a couple of things. First of all, this movie I'm a little bit biased on. My dad in the 60s was actually the first alternate on the Olympic rowing team. So he didn't get to row in the Olympics, but he was the first alternate who would have basically replaced one of the other guys, as this happens in this movie as well. So my dad had all these cool stories about the training and the hard work and the throwing up afterwards, the throwing up during, the crazy schedules that they had to be a competitive rower. He rowed for Cornell University and Westside Rowing Club, which is in Buffalo, New York. So I kind of was really excited about seeing this film because I had heard so many stories. So I'm a little bit biased about it. But before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe down below. It's very much appreciated. I do want to cover this real quick. I like to tell you guys, of course, the good, the bad, and should you see the film. And I'm going to start off actually with the bad because there's so little that's bad in this film that it'll be over in just a couple of seconds. There were some crowd CGI that was actually almost comical. You watched it and you're like, oh my God, that looked terrible. But not all of it, but some of it just looked awful. The other thing that was really funny is if you have seen the movie or you see it again or you see it for the first time, you'll see that there are people in the background way behind the main characters and they're just waving like this, continuously. So you see that in the background and it's like, all right, that's a little funny. But besides that, the film is actually great. And it's kind of that, it's a typical sports film. It's showing the underdog. It's showing, but it's a historical fact. This is a true story. And I don't know how much embellishment they did in it, but it was just ridiculously wonderful. It was heartwarming. You felt the characters. You felt you could really empathize and sympathize with the situation they were in. And just the acting was great. George Clooney directed this. He did a marvelous job on this. But the other thing I wanted to focus on too is it actually showed how ridiculous the disparity between the critics' rating of this film and the people who actually saw it. It was something like 50-something% as far as the critics were rating it. And I'm always curious when I see that. I'm like, let's go see what they said. I want to see what they're saying about this film that makes it down, that brings it down so much. And basically they were just like, oh, it's so formulaic and it's the same old thing we've heard before. And so if there wasn't something necessarily woke or anti this or anti-establishment, they won't give it a good rating. And I'm like, it made no sense. And especially when you see the crowd that I went and saw it with, they all cheered. They thought it was a great film. You look at that, I think it's 96% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. It was actually 97. It dropped just a little bit, 96%. But everybody who goes and sees this film is really inspired by it. It's heartwarming. It's heartbreaking. There's a lot of things that are going on in it. But I saw some of these reviews and I was looking at them and some of them were like, oh, they didn't focus on the depression enough. And I'm like, it's not a movie about the depression. It's about it was one particular guy, but this group of people who are overcoming all the odds and becoming this wonderful championship rowing crew. And it was just like, I don't know what they were doing. And it's funny because the guy, the main character, he was living on the streets in a broken down car that was basically just a shell of a car at this point. He had holes in his shoes that he had to put newspapers in there so his feet wouldn't rub on the cement. I mean, I don't know what else they wanted, but I was looking through some of those reviews and I was like, you people are you're so out of touch that you're focusing on these things instead of the story that's there. And again, I just saw time after time, the negative reviews were so trivial and just being ridiculous. It's like they lost the ability to go see a film and experience it and feel good about it, because that's all you can do when you watch this film. It was great. I would say that the cinematography was great. So almost sometimes a little inconsistent. Like the beginning, they had these really artistic, beautiful shots, and then sometimes it just kind of got into the normal pedestrian type of thing. I like to see a little bit more of that same consistency with cinematography, But again, that's a nitpick thing. It doesn't matter. The story was great. So should you go and see this film? Yes, absolutely 100%. It's not doing very well in the theaters. I don't think it's going to be that kind of film that is going to inspire a lot of people to go see it, right? But as far as the quality of it's great. The story of it's great. I don't know how much they embellished any of those things when they try to make it more of a hill to climb to accomplish what they did. But regardless, the fundamentals are there, and it's really, really awesome. You should go see it for sure. I did want to touch on one other thing which I thought was funny. And I love this about true stories. When they do true stories for whether it's, a historical event or, what's military or something like this that's sports related, and they show the pictures of the actual people who did this. Today, the actors that they had in this were basically physically fit. They had muscle, they had size, and you could see their strength when they were doing things. And when they showed the original people, it was in the Great Depression. So these people were very thin. They didn't have muscle like they do nowadays. But it actually kind of added to my understanding of what they accomplished at that point of being that underdog, being not the people who were really had all of the, have all of these things at their disposal to become better. But again, it was kind of funny. Great thing to watch and great thing to see at the end. But 100%, I'm giving this movie a 95, which is basically right where it is as far as the Rotten Tomatoes score is concerned by the people. The critics, man, you guys are out to lunch, man. This is crazy that you didn't see this and enjoy it for what it was, because it's a true story. It's great, well acted, well directed, well put together. It was an enjoyable ride. I hope you guys go and see it. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll catch you guys next time.